Are you guys ready? We have a new milestone. Holy, check it out, check it out, check it out, check it out. This is the, I'm not live clearly right now, but we are at 5K. This is the new scene. Hold up. I'll use that when we go live, and hopefully I think my internet issue, I'm hoping it's just the internet cable that's the problem. But then I'm noticing now when it's on internet, sometimes I'm like at 1 bar, 2 bar. So now I'm like, I don't know if I just need a new internet cable on top of a new Wi-Fi antenna. And it's like, I am so frustrated and annoyed with the live streams, right? Because I keep disconnecting, buffering, and it's like, oh look, I think it just disconnected right now. Oh wait, no, never mind, we're good. It's like I don't know what's going on with this PC, and I haven't had that Windows 11 update in a while, so maybe that's what it is. Long story short, we're here, bro. That we've passed 5,000 subscribers. We did it. And in about 2 years, right? The first year I uploaded some gaming videos, and then I just didn't upload anything for like maybe 4-6 months. And then when I came back, I just did an LSC react. And then from there, I was like, oh, we can do like Monwar reacts. And then from there, it's like we reacted to LOTM. And then from there, we got into LOTM. And that's kind of what we've been doing. So I know starting next week, we'll be resuming Mount House Sect, Return of the Mount House Sect, because season 3 starts next week on the 14th. And bro, you best believe I won't be reading it. I am a die-hard Mount House Sect fan of the web comic, the web novel. I know the webtoon. Sorry, I know the web novel is like 1,000 chapters ahead. Long story short, that we'll be reading that and LSC on Tuesdays, beginning after the end Thursdays, and for sure be starting RI, but the videos are probably only going to be about 30 minutes or so every other day, just because right now we still are primarily reading Shadow Slave. And again, I know I brought it up last time about COI. I know the videos aren't as hyped when it comes to like clicks and likes and all that, and I feel scummy and weird saying that. I don't know how I feel saying that. Like, well, the videos aren't performing well, so maybe we just drop it. I don't like saying that. That feels weird. But I don't know. I don't know. That being said, I do want to at least read RI on stream a little bit, react to it, and see how those videos do, to see that can be the second web novel we read behind Shadow Slave. But let's go, man. We hit 5K. The newest video kind of popped off. We went, oh, well, no, my bad. The second to last video was an hour and a half. This video, I am hoping, knock on wood, is a pretty girthy, fat video. I'm gonna leave it right there. That being said, we shall resume the Shadow Slave journey. I don't know what the fuck is gonna happen in 5 chapters. And you guys didn't spoil me. I know you guys weren't spoiling me, but you guys were hyping me up like, yo, I can't wait until he reads 75. And then somebody else, I can't wait till he reads 77. Somebody else, I can't wait until he reads 78. And then some people are like, I can't wait till he reads 77, 78. And I'm like, bro, what? And people are like, oh man, next video. And I'm like, what the fuck is gonna happen next video? I'm like, we just beat the Black Knight. It's like, what is there left to do? You know, besides go and fight Gunlog. And I'm like, there's still 75 chapters before we get to that point. So now I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen. But we're gonna pause, update our timestamps, and we are going to read some beautiful, glorious Shadow Slave. So I hope you guys are ready for another beautiful, glorious day. All right, let's get to it. Here we go. Chapter 275 is called Secrets of the Ruined Temple. As soon as the dawn came, oh, then we're gonna head to the Dark City on the next day, right? So this is one day leave, and then Sunny joins that following day. As soon as the dawn came, bringing with it the mournful sound of the retreating graves, Nephis and her cohort left the ruined cathedral. Sunny remained alone, standing on the edge between the darkness of the old temple and the light of the new day. Lingering the ornate doorway, he remained motionless for a while and watched as the artificial sun rose into the bleak gray skies above the cursed city. Artificial sun? Oh, there's no actual sunlight. That was a thing that was brought up in the beginning, right? into the bleak gray skies above the cursed city. After months spent in the company of other humans, being by himself once again felt strange, just like it had felt strange to be with other people after all this time he had spent on his own before that. I feel bad for him. Turning around, Sunny returned into the darkness. The grand hall of the ruined cathedral was peaceful and quiet. Without the menacing steel guardian, there was no one here to disturb these sounds anymore. Even the darkness that populated the corners was empty and docile now. Not all living entities had been once. I just read that whole last sentence so fucking wrong. Even the darkness that populated the corners was empty and docile now. Not at all the living entity it had been once. It felt sort of lonesome. Freely walking through the echoing expanse of the magnificent hall, Sunny looked around, taking in the sights of the cathedral that he sheltered in the past from a new perspective. Despite spending so much time here, he had never seen it like this. In the same way, the inhabitants of the Dark City must have seen it all those years ago. Sunny had only looked down on the hall from the height of one of the ancient temple's support beams. It looked majestic, but it was also not safe anymore. With the Black Knight dead, no one was left to defend the cathedral from the nightmare creatures that would claim it as their nest. So Sunny couldn't stay here for long. Not that he had the luxury of that choice anymore. Throwing on the look of the beautiful dark hall, Sunny sighed and began climbing the statue of the nameless goddess. Back in the hidden chamber, it was once again utterly dark. Sunny hesitated for a bit and began collecting his belongings. Oh, he's about to move out. It didn't take him long. Growing attached to the material things was pointless on the forgotten shore. There was no way to take them with him to the real world. After all, if he was ever going to survive that long, but he still felt sad leaving all of his spoils behind. Back in the real world, Sunny never had a home like this one, nor a lot of stuff to call his own. He had dreamed or enjoyed a lavish lifestyle after becoming awakened, but got stuck in its hellish instead. The spacious room he called home was a form of consolation, but now he had to leave, and now the music is too loud. One sec. In the end, he only took the bare necessities and then tidied the place up, wishing to leave clean and orderly despite knowing that this was a little chance of anyone stumbling on this place again. After everything was done, Sunny glanced at a tranquil room and hesitated for a bit. Then he walked over to the wall where he had once scratched countless lines in stones to count the days and summon the prowling thorn. He wanted to leave a mark on his presence here, something to tell that he had lived in this hidden chamber, in the ancient ruins of the cathedral, the Dark City, on the forgotten shore. In this world, a small mark to witness that he had been here, had struggled here, and then left to fight for a chance to escape. Sunny wanted to come up with some profound words, but nothing came to his mind. He wasn't really a profound person anyways. What he really wanted to carve into the walls was his true name. Sunny or Lost from Light. But even now, the paranoia stopped him. What if someone would come here one day and read it out loud? What a funny disaster that would be. Finally, he raised a kunai, a carved something beneath the lines of the marked days that he had spent living in a ruined cathedral. Then Sunny turned around and walked away. There were two runes left on the wall behind him, one meaning sun, the other meaning loss. There were two things Sunny wanted to accomplish before tomorrow morning. One was in the ruins of the library that he had never finished exploring. Are we going to get some lore reveals? Some revelations? And the other one was right here in the ruined cathedral. Returning to the grand hall with his rucksack on his shoulders, Sunny walked to the past statue of the nameless goddess and dove into one of the doors leading into the temple's inner sanctum. He had never been there before, kept away by the living darkness of the Black Knight, but now the devil was gone. Sunny was finally going to see what was hidden inside. Walking through the room and quarters of the priests and priestesses had once used, he looked around and didn't notice anything of interest. Everything was pretty much destroyed or ruined, with only a few mundane things remaining untouched. There was nothing here at all. At least that was what others would think. Sunny, however, suddenly stopped in front of a certain wall and tilted his head. There was nothing special about the wall, at least nothing that could be seen, but he could feel a heavy mass of shadows, hiding as though there was a hollow space there. After searching for a while, he found a hidden lever and pressed it, or at least he tried. The ancient mechanism had rusted through the disintegrated over the thousands of years of neglect, of course. With a sigh, Sunny summoned the midnight shard, looked over and closer at the hollow wall, inserted the tachi into the seam between its moving parts. Then he unceremoniously used the unbreakable blade as a lever and pushed it with all his inhuman strength. I know we're going to start looking up the weapons, but a tachi was a short version of a katana, and we know what's a kunai. So I know those two already. But all the other ones, I'll look them up just because I don't exactly remember what they are. So we know what's a tachi, shorter version of a kunai, shorter version of a katana, and we also know what's a kunai, just throwing daggers. Well, not just like a throwing knife. With a terrible scraping sound, a part of the wall slid away. The air rushed past Sunny, entering the dark mouth of a narrow corridor. Behind it, a set of stone stairs led down, deep down underground. A stone staircase, maybe for the Stone Saint. Maybe there's going to be a crazy Stone Saint revelation right now. With a resentful grimace, Sunny flourished the midnight shard to shake off the dust that clung to it, put on his shoulder, and enter the secret passage. Midnight shard was the short dagger, correct? Chapter 276 is called Black Door. Chapter 276 is called Black Door. The hidden passage led Sunny underground, twisting and turning through the massive stone. Despite the fact that he had been cautiously walking forward for a few minutes now, Sunny felt that he was still beneath the cathedral. In fact, by his estimation, he was approaching its center. And indeed, right beneath the spot where the statue of the goddess should have been, the narrow passage opened into a larger room. In it, a deep well leading even further down was situated with a winding staircase spiraling down into the darkness. Are we going to find a black door at the bottom of the spiraling down staircase? Sunny frowned. What is it with this place and creepy dark wells? Going further down was going to place him dangerously close to the catacombs. He knew all too well what kind of danger that would pose. The last time Sunny had ventured into the maze of the ancient tunnels below the city, he barely escaped alive. After hesitating for a while, he stepped onto the staircase and began descending. Deep ancient shadows surrounded Sunny, giving him a little comfort. At least he was among his kin. After a minute or so walking down the stairwell, Sunny entered a large chamber that seemed to be carved into the bedrock, as opposed to being constructed by humans' hands. On the other side of it, a large door forged from black steel stood, illuminated by two burning torches. What is it? A large door forged from black steel stood, illuminated. Okay. Two thoughts entered Sunny's mind simultaneously. The first one was that the metal from which the monolithic door was made of looked eerily familiar. It was the same dark, lustrous, impenetrable alloy of the Black Knight had been made of. Armor, or I'm sorry, the armor or the sword? It was the same dark, lustrous, impenetrable alloy. Oh, his armor. Yeah, the actual Black Knight. Impenetrable alloy that the Black Knight had been made of. The second thought was even more disturbing. How come those torches are still burning? What the fuck? They've been burning for thousands of years? Had they been aflame for several thousand years? Come to think of it, the torches looked very strange. They seemed to be producing light, but it was pale and ghostly. There was no heat that came with it. Oh, like the Black Knight and the Stone Saint's crimson glowing eyes, huh? The shadow cast by the ghostly flames were the most disturbing, though. Because of the movements of the fire, they were supposed to be dancing on the floor, but instead the shadows were absolutely motionless. It was as though the light of the torches had trapped and paralyzed them somehow. They paralyzed the shadows, and the actual flames of the torches are dancing, but the shadows are still. Sunny thought for a while and then ordered his own shadow to stay back. The shadow did not protest. In fact, it was visibly relieved. Taking a few exaggerated steps back, it emerged with the deep darkness and exited the stairwell and waited there, glancing nervously at the strange motionless shadows from time to time. Sunny cautiously approached the black door and lowered the midnight shard into the protective stance. He was ready to face any sort of danger, but nothing attacked him. The only thing that happened was a sudden chill that ran through Sunny's body when he had entered the circle of light cast by the two ghostly torches. These torches are definitely some sort of protective charm. I am almost sure that their power can harm even shadows. The question he had to ask himself, though, was this: were the torches meant to keep something from entering the place that hid behind the black door, or were they meant to keep something in? Well, there was only one way to find out. What Sunny was doing seemed absolutely crazy, but in fact it was not. He had to come into the underground chamber just because of the idle curiosity, or because of being blinded by greed and the prospect of finding a treasure. What led him here and pushed him to study the black door was his intuition. By now, Sunny had to admit that his intuition was more than a mere manifestation of his subconscious. If he had turned out to be correct on one too many times, especially ever since he had consumed the drop of ichor, I think it's ichor, almost like liquor. After the day, he was able to sense the presence of divinity, and sometimes he was even drawn to it. Like he was drawn to the cathedral and he was drawn to it. I thought he just chanced upon it. Like he was drawn to this cathedral and the mysterious key that lay buried in the body of the Lord of the Dead. The fucking key is going to open up the black door. This lucky son of a gun. Like he was drawn to the cathedral and the mysterious key that laid in the body of the Lord of the Dead, the two seemed connected. And Sonny felt he was about to find out how and why. But it's not all his intuition was capable of. There was other aspects to it too. In fact, Sonny suspected that it had more to do with his fated attribute than it had to do with the spark of divinity. If he were to guess, he would say that after he had been changed by the Ichor, that attribute was slightly enhanced, giving him the ability to sense subtle tremors that ran through the strings of fate from time to time. The strings that were apparently tightly wrapped around his body, the combination of the change that happened to his eyes and his close relationship with those strings that gave Sonny a slight affinity to revelations and fate, similarly to the one Cassie had to possess, but infinitely less potent. You know what this reminds me of? Do you guys remember watching the anime Grimace of the Dark? I have to look it up. But the guy was like, it's an isekai, right? But the guy that was like an assassin, he can like see the strings to like the enemy, and he just follows it's like the strings of fate, right? But he's like following the strings and his patterns, and then he can like find out how to fight them. But it's like he can see the same strings of fate, and like when they like reverberate or whatever. I find that really cool. That's such a cool little gimmick, dude. It's pretty cool. The combination of the chance that happened to his eyes and the close relationship with those strings gave Sonny a slight affinity to revelations and fate, similar to the one Cassie had possessed, but infinitely less potent. It was enough to guide him to the door and make him want to open it nevertheless. Stepping close to the monolithic black door, Sonny gazed at it and came to the conclusion that not even an entire army would have been able to break through this monstrous barrier. There was, however, a small keyhole hidden on its dark surface, pulled on the string tied around his neck. Sonny took off the small metal key that hung on it and gripped it tightly in his hand. After hesitating for a few moments, he carefully inserted the key into the lock of the black door. It fit perfectly. As soon as Sonny put the key into the lock, the faint light of divinity emanated suddenly and became a little bit brighter. Sonny sighed, then readied himself and turned the key. Something clicked. It fucking worked. No way, dude. Something clicked inside the metal door and it silently opened. The pale light of the ghostly torches swayed as though moved by an otherworldly wind. Behind the door, a small room was carved into the rock, and in it, a fucking corpse. Is this where we get the mask? And in the corpse, and a dark mantle was chained to the floor inside. Wait. Corpse, dark mantle, chained to the floor. And in it, a corpse and a dark mantle was chained to the floor inside the circle. Sonny couldn't tell if the corpse belonged to a man or a woman because it was a fucking mask? No way. Shut the fuck up. Oh, yeah. I know why you guys are a little bit excited. I get it. This is the mask. This is the mask, right? This is that mask is all right. Here we go. Sonny couldn't tell if the corpse belonged to a man or a woman because there was a strange mask covering its face. The mask was made out of black lacquered wood. What the fuck is this word? The mask was made out of black lacquered wood and carved to resemble the face of a ferocious demon. Its teeth was barred with 4 fangs protruding from its mouth, the 2 down and the 2 up. Protruding from its mouth, the mask was crowned with 3 twisting horns. There's 3? I thought it was only 2. I'm sorry. Really? Oh, 1, 2, 3. I see it. That's hype. With 3 twisted horns. Inside the black chasm of its eyes, there is nothing but utter darkness. Oh, Demon of... Let's fucking go, dude. Oh, this is so sick. Alright, here we go. It's only fair we keep playing the Dark City soundtrack by Griffith Tyler. Oh, I restarted the song. I was trying to raise the volume. Alright, here we go. Chapter 277 is called Demon of... So the mask is the Demon of Fate. Oh, and he's faded, and now he's a demon, a treacherous demon. Alright, I'll shut up. Let's keep reading. Chapter 277 is called Demon of Fate. Sonny held his breath. He's like that. Affected by the disturbing scene in front of him. The music is way too loud. I already know it. I'm sorry. Affected by the disturbing scene in front of him. The corpse was kneeling on the floor on the small smell. On the small sill, its hands chained to the floor, there was a circle carved into the stone around it, with countless symbols that Sunny could not understand surrounding it. However, the circle was broken in the thousands of years since the fall of the Dark City. The floor of the dungeon cell had cracked, with several fractures running straight through the intricate engravings. Whatever it was the circle was meant to contain had either perished or escaped a long time ago. I am thinking of the latter. It had escaped a long time ago. Now the only thing that remained was a withered corpse. Coming closer, Sunny took another look at a person who had been imprisoned and died under the ruined cathedral in a cell situated exactly beneath the statue of the nameless goddess. Because of the dark mantle of the black... I need to... What is this word? Lacquered?
Sunny
okay, it is black lacquered. Got it. So the black lacquered mask, Sunny couldn't glean a lot of information about the corpse. It seemed to belong to a human, but other than that, everything about it was a mystery. I'm gonna raise the volume down a bit. What terrible sin had this person committed to be condemned to this awful death? Strangely, Sunny's intuition was silent. It was as though there was nothing in front of him at all. To his sixth sense, the prisoner of the underground cell appeared as an empty space. Weird, this person had clearly either hated or feared a lot to be locked behind all these barriers. Surely fighting such a creature would affect my fate. Why don't I feel anything then? With a tense frown, he took a deep breath and carefully stepped inside of the circle. It was then that Sunny noticed a chaotic mess of ruins drawn on the floor near the prisoner's left hand. The sight of them almost sent him into a seizure. Staggering away, Sunny fell to his knees and threw up. Ah, damn it, those runes, those were the same runes the spell had used to describe the mysterious unknown. Only here, the intensity of the terrible effect had on the mind of anyone who saw them was much, much stronger. What the hell? Wiping his mouth, Sunny grimaced and glanced at the masked corpse with a bit of resentment. Then he picked himself off the floor, took a deep breath, looked at the terrible runes once again. Immediately, Sunny felt a splitting headache and a sickening, terrible sensation spreading through his mind. It was as though all those thoughts and memories were being torn and twisted, but despite all of that, Sunny preserved and kept staring at the final message that the prisoner had left behind. He knew he couldn't read the runes. He didn't know the particular language, and the spell either was forbidden, incapable, or refused to translate them. But for some reason, Sunny felt compelled to try. Fighting through the intense pain, he slowly studied the strange runes, and then suddenly his eyes widened. Is he translating it somehow? Fighting through the intense pain, he slowly studied the strange runes, and then suddenly his eyes widened, because right below the chaotic mess of them, a line of text was written in the script he was familiar with, the usual runic language the spell always used. Oh, it's physically visible. This time, it did not provide any translation. Luckily, Sunny had studied these runes and knew enough about them to understand what was written himself. The last thing the person in prison under the cathedral wrote before succumbing to the death made him shudder. Scratched into the wall was a short prayer: Hail, Weaver, demon of fate, firstborn of the unknown. What the fuck? Firstborn of what? What? Sunny stared at the ruins until he was on the verge of losing consciousness. Only then did he turn away and close his eyes. The nauseating dissonance of the terrible runes stayed carved into his mind. Only after several minutes had passed did it fade a little, allowing him to breathe again. So the mysterious weaver whose forbidden lineage he had inherited was in fact associated with fate. So it's a mask from a guy called Weaver. No, his name isn't Weaver. He's calling it. He's just calling him. Oh, he's calling him the mysterious Weaver because he weaved the runes, right? What were the chances? Wait. I skipped the sentence. So the mysterious Weaver whose forbidden lineage he had inherited was in fact associated with fate, just like Sunny himself. What were the chances? That's fated for you, I guess. The word he translated as demon wasn't the one used to describe the nightmare creatures of the third rank, but a different one. Perhaps calling it a spirit or a daemon would have been more suitable, a mortal, more powerful and ominous deity than a demon. One different from gods, but sharing the same nature. However, Sunny wasn't that versed in mystical terminology. All he knew was the runic language was incredibly rich in words describing all types of monsters and creatures, while the human language wasn't. Hence, demon was fine with him. Apart from the tantalizing revelation about the mysterious Weaver, he had noticed one other important thing by forcing himself to study the runes. Before, Sunny had thought that there was a single entity that the spell refused to call by its name and simply described as unknown, leading him to call it the unknown. Yes, Sunny was not an imaginative when it came to the word choice. Just call it unknown. Good for him. Whether the unknown were a kind of beings, a single existence, or a force of nature, he did not know. But now he realized that there was actually two types of forbidden runes, and two things the spell did not know how or did not want to mention. So there's more than one said unknown. One was the same as those used in the description of the drop of Ichor, which stated that the vile thieving bird was hated both by gods and by the unknown. It was also said that the reflection of the unknown stayed forever frozen in the depths of the weaver's pupils, and that just looked at it dove the thieving bird mad. The other was the same as those used in the description of the stone sage, which was created by the last child of the unknown, and now here by the dead prisoner who had called the weaver the firstborn of the unknown. What the hell does all this supposed to mean? He's suspicious that the weaver had something to do with the creation of the weaver and the unknown are involved with the creation of the nightmare spell. What in the fuck? So this is like a crazy ass setup for something that's not going to happen for like another 2,000 chapters, right? That's what I'm thinking. Or maybe this is shit we still don't know. His suspicion that the weaver had something to do with the creation of the nightmare spell only grew stronger after learning that they had something to do with the domain of fate. After all, the spell seemed to be weaved out of numerous strings of fate, and there's this thing being called Weaver who had the blood of gods in their veins, but was also somehow connected to the unknown. Feeling his headache only grow stronger, Sunny winched and shook his head. Later, I'll think about it later. There would be time to ponder about all this later, or not if he dies trying to escape the Forgotten Shore. Either way, that time was not now. Turning his back to the chained corpse, Sunny cautiously avoided looking at the dangerous runes and kneeled in front of it. He wanted to know what was hiding behind the mask, but as soon as he touched it, the corpse suddenly shattered and fell apart. It just disintegrated because it's been there for thousands of years, turning into dust right in front of his eyes. Even in the dark mantle rotted and disappeared, as though the thousands of years that had passed since the fall of Dark City and the destruction of the cathedral finally caught up with it. Soon all that was left was a pile of dust and the lacquered mask lying on top of it. Its black surface glinted slightly in the pale light of the ghostly torches. Is it gonna pick it up? Oh shit. This fucking chapter, dude, Weaver's Mask. That's what it is. Hold on. I gotta sip the G Fuel. One sec, people. One sec. Sponsored, not sponsored. This is it. This is the mask, right? We have obtained the Weaver's Mask. Gunlog is so fucking screwed. Why am I fucking salivating, dude? I hate that I salivate when I read now. I'm gonna go get salted crackers. Almost done. Okay, hopefully we're good now. Son of a bitch. I'm too excited now, man. What the fuck is happening? Do you guys suffer from dry mouth or a fucking wet mouth when you read out loud? What is it, man? Because I've always heard people suffering from dry mouth. I have the exact opposite when I read for this long. I hate it. I think it's because I'm too excited, man. I gotta fucking chill. Chapter 278 is called Weaver's Mask. Sunny looked at the black mask at the darkness hiding in its eyes. Its features were not as much contorted as fearsome by nature. It was simultaneously fearsome and somber, bestial and regal, as though it existed at the border of all things. But most of all, the striking mask radiated a sense of mystery. The vicious fangs, the twisted horns, the black lacquered wood. Of it all, once again, the intuition was silent. There was nothing he felt toward the black mask, as though it didn't even exist. How strange. Sunny waited for a few moments, then picked up the mask and brought it to his face. Motherfucker's like, huh? This is like, I wonder what's gonna happen. Holy shit, this Sunny's crazy. Then he picked up the mask and brought it to his face to take a closer look at it. But just a moment after his finger touched the sleek surface of the polished wood. So it's a wooden mask. That's pretty cool. The mask suddenly disintegrated into a swarm of countless white sparks. He absorbed it like a memory or an echo. Acting like water, the stream of light flowed towards Sunny's chest and entered into... Oh, what the fuck? It goes in his body. Acting like water, the stream of the light flowed towards Sunny's chest So it's like this. It goes to the chest of his body. It enters into his body, disappearing into the dark depths of his... What the fuck? Into the dark depths of his shadow core. The voice of the spell thundered suddenly, louder than it had ever before. We probably just got one of the most broken things, something that belonged to the unknown itself. You have received the memory, ... Sunny remained motionless for a few seconds, thinking about what had just happened. By now, he knew that some memories could exist like the First Lord's crown, right? By now, he knew that some memories could exist outside of the soul cores, just like how shard memories did. What was the black? Oh, there's something else besides shard memories. I got it. I figured it out already. Weaver's memories. We got shard memories, and now we have Weaver memories. So we have like Weaver's mask, Weaver's armor, Weaver's weapon, right? Weaver's shield. That's what I'm thinking now. Instantly, that's what I'm thinking about. Was the black mask one of them? Somehow he felt that it wasn't. Why am I even guessing? Let's just... Why am I guessing? Let's just take a look. Let's just read the description. The reason he was lingering was because of the magnitude of the situation. Sonny didn't know anything about the mysterious mask, but he believed that this relic of the past was truly unusual. The circumstances that he had led it to discover were too extraordinary, and the place it was hidden in it was too uncanny to think otherwise, so he was understandably apprehensive. With a bit of tension, Sunny dove into his soul sea and looked at the spheres of light floating around the black sun of the shadow core. There was a new one there? A new shadow core? With a bit of tension, Sunny dove into a soul sea and looked up at the spheres of light floating around the black sun of the... I'm sorry, how many does he have? I thought it was always just like one shadow core floating with like around the black sun. So there's the black sun... And I always thought it was one shadow core, but now there's like a new spear of light. There was a new one which seemed to be much brighter than the rest. Summoning it down, he soon found himself looking into the eyes of the dark mask that hovered in front of him. It was as though he was facing an invisible person wearing it, shifting uncomfortably. Sunny lowered his gaze a little and looked beneath the black wood. But how do you pronounce this word? Black lacquered wood? A moment later, he had to suppress the involuntary desire to cover his eyes with his hand. Inside the black mask... Wait, what? Inside the black mask, 7 radiant embers were burning with such intensity that it almost blinded him. All around them, incalculable ethereal strings were weaved into a pattern of vast and intricate that it almost seemed boundless. 7... Oh, 7! That's part of the memory. 7 anchors or 7 locks? 7 anchors gods. Stunned by the visage of the mask, spellweave, Sunny hesitated for a bit and summoned the runes that described it. What he saw made him take a step back and gasp. Memory, Weaver's mask, memory rank fucking divine. Whoa! This is the highest tier, 7! Memory tier 7? Memory type tool. I thought fucking 3 was the highest. We've only seen 1, 2, and 3. Now we're at 7? Memory tier 7, memory type tool. Memory description. Weaver believed that knowledge was the origin of power, and so always hidden behind numerous lies. Always hidden behind numerous lies. Very funny. Wearing them as a mantle, no one knew Weaver's thoughts, Weaver's face, and Weaver's heart. This is how we negate his drawback. Is it? Oh, this is such a fucking bonus for dude. Sunny's gonna be so broken now. He doesn't have to be like, oh shit, don't ask me too many questions. Weaver's... Wait, I just skipped. Let me read the description again. I'm too excited. Memory description. Weaver believed that knowledge was the origin of power, and so he always hid behind numerous lies. Wearing them as a mantle, no one knew Weaver's thoughts. Dude, I'm getting a headache. No one knew Weaver's thoughts, Weaver's face, and Weaver's heart. Even the gods could not see what hid behind the mask. Memory enchantments, mantle of lies... Question mark, question mark, question mark. So we don't know the second enhancement. The third enhancement is simple trick. Sunny had to look away for a moment to take a breath. Divine memory of the 7th tier. Holy hell. Holy fucking shit is what he should be saying. Words weren't enough to describe his astonishment. He was, however, surprised to see that the mask only has 3 enchantments. Sunny expected such a powerful... Dude, that second one that we don't know is probably like the most broken thing that he just doesn't have access to, because it's probably part of the unknown. Sunny expected such a powerful memory that he had dozens of them. Judging by how the boundless and insanely complicated the weave of it was, there had to be that much at least. Just what were these three enchantments to require a myriad of diamond strings to support them? Turning back to the ruins, he concentrated on the enchantments and read further. Enchantment, mantles of lies. Enchantment descriptions hide the identity of its master. Oh, Sunny. I thought like when Sunny becomes a slave to his master, or like when someone finds his true name. Okay. Enchantment description hides the identity of its master. The description sounded very simple, but looking at the spell weave of the black mask, Sunny couldn't tell that this enchantment was anything but. In fact, it was so vast and powerful that his mind was failing to even comprehend the scale of it. The enchantment was indeed designed to protect the identity of the person wearing the mask from prying eyes, but what it actually meant was that any form of detection was powerless against it. So he's a true shadow. And Sunny suspected that Annie was not a figure of speech in this case, but simply a constatation of fact. So he's just immune to any. Oh wait, so is he able to negate the lady that, like, if she can think, like, anybody that has thought of him, she can locate them? Like, he would be immune to that. I'm forgetting her name and like the full words, but there's a person in Dark City that can, like, if you like tell me who's thinking about it, like, she can see like literally anybody. Like, Sunny is immune to that. It's simply a constatation of fact. For example, Cassie's aspect ability, which allowed her to see a person's attributes, would not work on someone wearing the mask. There were countless similar abilities among the Awakened, none of which would work either. I guess that explains why my intuition was silent about the prisoner and the mask itself. Whatever kind of fate-related sixth sense I have is also countered by that thing. Even more terrifying was the fact that the enchantment was not aimed at just the Awakened. The description of the Weaver's Mask stated that even the gods could not see through it, and it was the honest truth. Nothing could penetrate the barriers of the Mantle of Lies, not even the sight of a god. Sunny gulped. This is going to be the most broken shit, bro, in like 2,000 chapters. Scary. But then the incredible and frightening enchantment did not even take up a tenth of the volume of the ethereal diamond strings hidden beneath the surface of the black lacquered mask. The second enchantment was much the same. It was called Unknown. We just fucking don't know. Just question marks. By which the spell was telling Sunny that it wasn't going to say anything about it. Its description was also empty. He doesn't even fucking know what the second thing does. However, Sunny could tell that it had something to do with the sight just by looking at the weave. He can also tell that it was not a passive enchantment, but an active one, meaning that currently he cannot access it. Usually that would mean that he had to be... Oh, he can access it until he's like at that rank? Right? Is that what that means? Usually that would mean that he would be able to once he became a true Awakened, but in this case, the amount of soul essences required to keep the enchantment active for more than a fraction of a second was so vast that no Awakened would even be able to. Only a saint would, perhaps. However, Sunny was not sure that he wanted to try it, even if he had the ability. The things Weave saw were capable of driving unholy creatures insane, so it was wise to avoid going anywhere near the enchantment in the future. Most likely, most of the spell weave of the Weaver's Mask, however, was just dedicated to the third enchantment, one that was called a simple trick. Judging by the mind-boggling complexity of the pattern that made it possible, that trick of Weaves was anything... The trick of Weavers was anything but simple, though. It was the most bizarre, intricate, and ingenious thing that Sunny had ever seen. Curious, he glanced at the description and froze his eyes wide open. What is it? The rune... Wait, there's descriptions in brackets. I want to read it. The runes gleamed in the air. Read. Enchantment, simple trick. Enchantment description reverses the effect of one's flaw. Dude, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, it's such a simple trick. You just fucking reverse one's flaw. Dude, that is so stupidly beneficial. Now, I don't mean stupidly in a bad way. That is just so fucking crazy bonkers, bro. What in the actual fuck? It reverses the effects of one flaw. I'm about to hit up my homie. Bro, this, I'm like, he got Weaver's Mask. I'm about to text him right now. I need to eat another fucking cracker, bro. I'm like salivating. I am gushing at how broken the Weaver Mask is gonna be. And like, dude, no wonder this shit is in the fucking cover. He's gonna be using this his whole life now, bro. He's only gonna take this fucking mask off when he knows it's chill, dude. Damn. Damn, I couldn't find it. I've had a Batman mask, I kid you not, bro, for like 20 years. And I can't find it. I was gonna wear it. I was gonna be like, jump scare. I was gonna put on the mask when he finds it. I don't want to pause the video for like another 30 minutes and just try and find a 20-year-old mask. And I remember seeing it last year. I'm annoyed I don't have it. I was gonna like don it when he wears it. But never mind. Chapter 279 is called Guilty Conscience. Sunny remained silent for a long time, staring at the black mask. The tranquil sea of his soul was still silent, not like the storm that was currently raging in his heart. After a while, he thought the Weaver was not only a sly guy, girl, person, being. Well, the fact that I don't even know that much only serves to prove the point, and I thought I was good at deceit and manipulation. No, he's gonna be even better now, bro. How devious one must be to not let even the gods... I'm choking on my saliva. Oh, I'm excited. How devious one must be to not let the gods, even the nightmare spell, know anything about them. But it was fitting... Oh, shit, I skipped down too much. But it was fitting in a strange kind of way. If Weaver's domain was that of fate, there was no other way. Fate was a terrifying but a subtle tool. Manipulation is to your advantage required a very special kind of genius, one that was directly opposite to any kind of directions, straightforwardness, and brutal power. However, if given a choice, Sunny would have preferred to face the war god in battle than make someone like Weaver his enemy. Masterful liars were far more dangerous than deadly warriors. He knew that it was better than most. Excited the soul sea, Sunny hesitated for a little and then summoned the Weaver. Oh, he's gonna wear it? And then I can't even read anymore, man. Oh, this is cool. And then he summoned the Weaver's mask. I need better music, right? We need better music. We just need to play the Forgotten Shore, man, because this is where he got it. Exited the soul sea, Sunny hesitated for a moment and then summoned the Weaver's mask. The cool wooden surface of the mask appeared on his face, held in place by some invisible force. Immediately, his vision changed slightly. Everything became sharper, clearer, more vivid. Sunny could feel the mask reaching into his eyes and connecting to something. Then, strange legacy that he had inherited by consuming the drop of Weaver's blood, he sensed his intuition becoming more potent too. It was as though he could almost see the mysterious strings of fate that span across the entire world. Almost. Glancing at the pall of dust that remained on the prisoner, Sunny frowned slightly. The identity of the person who had been wearing the mask remained a secret. Just who had this corpse belonged to, and how had they ended up chained to the floor in a hidden dungeon cell beneath the majestic cathedral? The easiest thing to assume was that it was the Weaver themselves, but Sunny dismissed the theory immediately. From everything he knew about the original master of the mask, the power of that creature was just below that of the gods, and that of the unknown. Perhaps if Weaver appeared on the Forgotten Shore, the whole Dark City would have been wiped out of existence before any harm was done to them. So who could have been wearing the Weaver's mask? Some powerful carrier of the nightmare spell that had received it as a memory, just how Sunny did. Well, what? If Weaver was really a demon, or Daemon, is it a demon, Daemon? Okay, so it's Daemon. If Weaver was really a daemon, which was a strange kind of a lesser deity, was there a cult dedicated to them? Oh, like believers and followers? Had there been priests and followers of the Weaver, the message the prisoner had left behind sounded awfully close to a prayer. Had the person been deemed a heretic and condemned to the fate of and condemned to the place for that reason? Sunny sighed. There was no way to know. Hesitating for a bit, he turned away and left the somber dungeon cell behind. He only had one day to finish all the things he had left undone in the Dark City. There was no time for fruitless pondering. Once outside, Sunny walked over to the place where he had left his shadow and took a look at himself through its eyes. What he saw made him blink a couple of times. The black lacquered mask sat snugly on his face, hiding his features. He couldn't even see his eyes, which were drowned in darkness. That's so fucking cool, dude. What's more, even his height was somehow unclear. Sunny didn't actually become taller, but from the side it looked as though he did. Sort of. 1 second it did, and the next one it did not. It was some sort of similar to how people's faces change when lightened from different directions. In any case, he could tell for sure how tall the person facing the shadow was. How fun. Oh, I can see how this aids him in combat, right? Like, say an enemy is swinging or whatever, and he can't, like, tell the height of the swing because, like, the Weaver mask is throwing his height off. Maybe that, I can see that being a thing. How fun. I lost my place. How fun. It was not that Sunny became completely unrecognizable, though. He was still had to have a careful to hide the content clues about himself while wearing the mask. Mundane things like the way he walked, his unusual mannerisms, the other subtle but unique details of his behavior could still betray his identity despite the fact that it was masked from all unnatural means of detection. To truly make himself appear as something else, Sunny would have to put on a performance. Oh, are they not gonna know it's him fighting the whole fucking time? Is that what's it? No! Are you kidding me? Is Sunny going to hide himself forever now from them? Good thing he was practicing the shadow dance then. Was it not designed to fully imitate someone else's battle style and physicality? What a wonderful coincidence. Finally, the moment he had been dreaming came. It was time to test if the simple trick was really capable of turning his flaw upside down. Needless to say, Sunny was nervous. His lips became dry and unconsciously tried to lick them. But now there was a mask on his face, so he couldn't. The bad habit on his had to be put to rest, apparently. Great, alright, let's do this. Opening his mouth, Sunny said out loud, I am very... He's lying! He acknowledges how small he is. Dude, I'm turning around. That's so funny. He's like, oh, I'm a very small individual. I am very tall. And he's getting no pain. And the problem is he grimaced, expecting the familiar pain to evade his mind, but there was nothing. Sunny froze, blinked a couple of times, and waited. Still nothing happened. Beneath the mask, a wide grin appeared on his face. I am not only tall, but also exquisitely handsome. But that is not all. I am incredibly honest and nice too. Every girl I meet immediately falls in love. Oh, dude, this is actually breaking my heart now. He's hyping himself up so much when he knows it's a lie. Every girl I meet immediately falls in love with me. Boys too. That's just how lovable, handsome, nice, and tall I am. Everything I have just said is absolutely true. His mind was peaceful and quiet. There was no pain, no pressure. In fact, Sunny felt great. Wow. Feeling an almost overwhelming desire to continue spouting lies, he laughed in exhilaration. Amazing this can be, but then a tremendous... Oh, what the fuck? Oh, wait, no. It didn't say he was immune to it. It just said he can lie. Oh, he didn't read the fine print. But then a tremendous explosion of pain suddenly threw him to the ground. With a startled yelp, Sunny grabs his head and then ground through the gritted teeth, feeling as though what was about to burst. What the hell? He just wanted to say how useful the ability to lie could be. Wait, the ability to lie would indeed be very useful, which meant that by stating the fact, he would be telling the truth. And the Weaver's mask did not remove his flaw. Oh, what the fuck? What? Oh, wait. So now he always has to lie? Oh, he's not immune. It reversed it. But because he reversed it, when he tells the truth, he gets hit by the spell. Right? Wait, so where's the pain? Oh, I get it. It's because he called the mask amazing. Like, oh, this isn't amazing. He told the truth. Right? I get it. The ability to lie would indeed be very useful, which meant that by stating the fact, he would be telling the truth. And the Weaver's mask did not remove his flaw, he just reversed it. So it seems like while wearing it, Sunny could not tell even a word of truth. That seems like the right conclusion to make, but he needed to test it to absolutely be sure. With a doomed sigh, he's like, oh, fuck, here we go again. With a doomed sigh, he waited for a moment and then said, my name is... A moment later, another pain scream resounded in the darkness of the underground chamber. Wow. Oh, here we fucking go, man. Dude, I'm so excited. Next chapter is called One Last Job. So he has one last thing before he has to join the crew. What's gonna happen, dude? There's still so much left. We have 70 chapters before the finale. For a sec... Oh, I did not update last one. I am so sorry. We are at 80. For a second, I thought like, oop, boop, easy ass immunity. Now we can tell the truth and lie, but no, it just reversed it. So he still has to be careful. But this is really good. Sometime later, Sunny... Like, it's easier to lie than to tell the truth, right? Sometime later, Sunny emerged from the ruins of the cathedral with a rucksack on his shoulder, took one last look back and left. Whatever his truth was going to be, he doubted that he would come back here anytime soon. It was a bittersweet goodbye, cautiously walking through the familiar streets of the Dark City, where he knew every turn and every piece of rubble in the district of it. At least Sunny kept his guard up. Many things must have changed in the months that he had been away traveling through the labyrinth. The nightmare creatures he knew, and more importantly, he knew how to avoid them, had wandered away and perished, and new horrors might have taken their place. He had to stay prudent and careful, but still, his next and final goal was not that far away. As he sneaked towards, I'm like, what is it? As he sneaked towards it, Sonny thought about the Weaver's mask and the ways it could change his life. At first, he thought about simply never taking it off and walking around while delivering a deluge of lies. That way, he would be safe from revealing his most guarded secret and becoming someone's slave, at least. But after considering this seriously, he came to the conclusion that it was not the best decision in his current circumstances. He has to be stronger. First of all, one could impart any of... Wait, I can't read. First of all, one couldn't be a part of any collective while lying all the time. Sonny had an unpleasant experience of being expelled from various groups for various reasons, and not being sincere and honest was one of the surest ways to make people want to avoid you at all costs, eventually at least. And no one was able to survive alone in the dream realm, not in a way that a person would want to live. Anyway, Sonny knew a lot about this side of things too. But most importantly, he was not going to be able to keep this lying for long. Anyways, not when dealing with people and that already knew him. Kai and Cassie would notice the strange effects of the mask immediately. Kai because of his ability to sense lies, Cassie because of her ability to see attributes would suddenly stop working. That makes sense. But others would catch on. Wait. So now it's like he can't reveal the mask to them? Is that what's being implied here? Like, unless they're fighting, right? Then I guess. But like when you're just hanging out with your friends, he has to have it off. But others would catch on that something strange was going on with him pretty quickly too. Simply because of how drastic the change in his behavior would be, especially Nevis, who knew him so well. After that, they would inevitably have a lot of questions, and answering those questions, even with lies, would put him in more danger than he already was in. So sadly, Weaver's mask was not a panacea? What the fucking word is that? So sadly, Weaver's mask was not a panacea to Sonny's current situation. At best, it would be able to help him avoid certain predicaments if used sparingly. But really, he didn't want anyone to know that he was in a possession of that memory at all. Sonny had to think of the future. So he's going to hide it from his friends? Unless he fights. If he was lucky enough to survive the fall of the Bright Castle and return to the real world, that was where the Black Mask could create miracles for him. It would allow him to have a hidden persona that was in no way connected to the Awakened named Sunless, and as such allow him to do and achieve anything that would have been impossible or too dangerous to try as himself. To that effect, no one could know the strange black wooden mask was connected to him, not even people whom he somewhat trusted, both for his own good and theirs. It was such a pity though. It was just imagining Caster's face if he were to even learn about what type of treasure Sonny had somehow found distant was tempting enough to change his plans. Caster. Sonny's face darkened. He had not forgotten about the promise Nev had made to him at the start of their journey to the Hollow Mountains. Tomorrow he was finally going to learn what was the deal with the Proud Legacy and what exactly the relationship between Changing Star and him was, and how big were their chances of Sonny having to face Caster in battle. Despite all his dislike for the handsome scion of the Han Li clan, Sonny was reluctant to actually fight him, no matter how much progress he had made to get ready for the bloody conclusion of his disastrous chapter of his life. Caster was still not someone to be taken lightly. He was a tremendously deadly opponent just based on what Sonny knew about him, and there were secrets that a legacy had been keeping as well. That charm of his, what does it do? He was certain that he would defeat Caster if push came to shove, but the cost of would have to pay for the victory would be too heavy. Perhaps much more heavy than he was willing to pay. Suddenly uneasy, Sonny silently shook his head and continued on his way. As the sun began to roll towards the western horizon, he approached his goal. The ruins of the ancient library. Oh, the library. Of the ancient library that stood lonesomely among the decimated buildings, back near the end of the lonely months of the hunting monsters of the streets of the Dark City. Sonny had begun exploring these ruins for bits of information about the history of the Forgotten Shore. Because of his chance of encounter with the Stone Saint, and that with the Kai, which led him to abandoning the ruins for a long expedition into the labyrinth, he had never finished this project. There was this one vast mosaic in particular that Sonny was interested in. It sprawled across the entire floor of the library's main hall and was mostly covered by rubble. In the past, Sonny was not strong enough to move the rubble out of the way. He had been hoping to make the Stone Saint do it for him, but sadly the shadow was currently slumbering in the depths of his shadow core, evolving into whatever it was that she was going to turn into. Just to be sure, he checked one more time to see if the mysterious process was still going to sigh in disappointment. Luckily, he had grown much stronger himself. During these months, Sonny was pretty sure that now he would be able to clear the mosaic with his own two hands. It was just going to be a lot of work, but nonetheless, he gets to do it. Sending his shadow into the library to make sure that no abomination had made its nest there there during his absence. Sunny entered its cool shadow of the ruin inside. Better get started. Soon the scraping sound of heavy boulders being moved could be heard under the partly collapsed roof of the ancient building. It's crazy seeing how strong they've gotten, man. Especially 7 heroes. It's the prophecy. Chapter 281 is called 7 Heroes. In the depths of the night, Sunny was finally done with the arduous task of clearing the floor of the ruined library. Tiredly standing in the center of the circular hall, he found himself in the middle of a vast mural. The mosaic had endured the passage of time in almost a pristine condition. Most of it was preserved perfectly, with only a few small sections destroyed by the corrosion or the will of the creature that inhabited the Crimson Spire. By now, Sunny was certain that it was the terror of the Forgotten Shore that had obliterated any depictions of the 7 heroes' faces. He didn't know how it was possible, but felt that the same furious force that had decapitated the ancient statues was responsible for the damage done to the engravings in the ancient mine and to this mural. That makes sense. It could all be connected. It was as though the terror wanted to erase any sign of the founders of the Starlight Legion from history. Their names were forgotten. Every person had known of the stories turned into dust, and even the stones that bore their image were desecrated and shattered. How great the resentment that the evil creature harbored towards them must have been for it to go to such lengths in its mad desire to obliterate their legacy. With his eyes suddenly turned slightly and walked to the edge of the mural, he was searching for the start of its story. Depicted on the mural was not one image, but a long series of them. Spiraling from the edge of the mosaic to its center was like a long scroll. On them, the history of the land consumed by darkness was shown, ending the coming of a new dawn. Sunny already knew what events had brought the curse of all the consuming darkness to the Forgotten Shore, and how the ancient inhabitants of this land fought against all odds to resist it. Now he was going to learn the final mystery, the reason for their eventual downfall. Finding the first image, he studied it and lingered for a bit. Then he walked on, watching the history unfurl itself beneath his feet. As the curse subdued the world under the veil, everlasting darkness and terrible creatures started to attack the human settlement. One after another, mighty champions began to appear to battle them, but no matter how strong, brave, and valiant those champions were, none of them were able to resist for long. Especially not when their own allies started turning into monsters. It was impossible to... I'm sorry, what? Your own allies turned into monsters. It was impossible to face the terrifying foes hiding in the darkness when no one was there to cover your back. One even worse, if those you trusted the most to do so were the ones delivering a deadly blow instead. But still, humanity perished, months passed, then years, and eventually a new generation grew up in this horrible world. Born in all the consuming darkness, 7 valiant heroes gave an oath to return to the light of the cursed land. Sunny whispered. The people who would later create the Starlight Legion were indeed born of the darkness. They never even saw the light that would swear to bring back. All they knew of it were the tales of their elders. They had told them tales of the time when people never turned into nightmares, and the beautiful stars that shone ever in the darkest of nights. This new generation grew. I almost unplugged my power cable. Oh my god, I would have been so fucking mad. Oh my god, that would have been so bad. The new generation grew up surrounded by... I gotta keep my feedback. The new generation grew up surrounded by nothing but darkness and horror, and was forged by it into a far more fearsome force than the parents had ever been. Hard times create hard people, and their times was unforgiving and harrowing as one could imagine, beyond so even. And so the people created adapted to much of this dark reality. Eventually, 7 of them rose above the rest, each leading their faction in constant battle against the encroaching doom. Sunny stopped and studied the image that showed all 7 of them, even if their faces were damaged beyond recognition. There was a knight in intricate plated armor forged of white metal, with a stalwart blade grasping firmly in his hands. I'm sorry. The Stone Saint? But like a beautiful version of the Stone Saint and the Black Knight? Is that what's going to happen? Like the Black Knight, crazy evil black armor or whatever. The Stone Saint, crazy evil dark looking armor. Now she's like a shadow. So I'm like, maybe they used to be the 7 heroes, like the 7 lights. Oh, I'm sorry. Is this Kingdom Hearts? The 7 lights versus the 13 dark. Sorry. I was thinking of Kingdom Hearts 3 for a sec. A graceful priest, even KH2, KH1. A graceful priest in a light flowed robed I skipped a sentence. There was a knight in intricate plate armor, force of white metal, with a stalwart blade grasping firmly in his hands, a graceful priestess in a light flowing robe, her delicate hands shining with gentle light, a mighty hunter in archaic curses leaning on a beautiful bronze spear. Oh my god, that's them. Are we gonna be... It's them. A masterful builder holding a mason's hammer in his calloused hands, a regal lord with a humble crown resting on his head, a single gem decorating its simple design. Is this the first lord and his memory with a single gem decorating its simple design, a subtle and merciless slayer with a ghostly stiletto hidden cunningly behind her back, and a stranger from a misty land who wore a stone-like armor and never showed his face, with a heavy round shield resting at his feet. I'm sensing parallels. Sunny looked at the 7 heroes thinking, Knight, Hunter, Lord, Stranger, Slayer, Builder, and Priestess, Midnight Shard, Zenith Shard, Dawn Shard, Dust Shard, Moonlight Shard, and the other two, Sunlight Shard and Starlight Shard. Tongue twister. The fate of the last two shard members remained unknown to him. Nephis must have known something, though. Otherwise, she would have not ventured into the dangerous expeditions of the Hollow Mountains to seek out the Crown of Dawn. Although the history of the Forgotten Shore was presented in the more detailed here, it did not give him any revelations yet. Though Sunny turned away from the image of the 7 heroes and continued on, at some point in history, the heroes came together, created the Starlight Legion, and united the surviving remnants of humanity under its banner. I scrolled down too much. At some point in history, the heroes came together, created the Starlight Legion, and united the surviving remnants of humanity under its banner. It was also that when they gave their defiant oath, they must have been mad, weren't striving to achieve something impossible, the definition of madness. Sunny frowned, knowing full well that in this case, the 7 heroes actually managed to fulfill their crazy ambitions. It was all a little too close to home. He also knew someone who liked to set impossible goals and had an infuriating track record of proving them possible. But how did I update this? Yeah. But how did it all end? Yet the heroes achieved their dreams, but the Forgotten Shore still turned into a desolate hell. What happened to their light? It's at top of the Crimson Spire. Looking at the next images in the mosaic, Sunny got a feeling that he was about to find out. Crimson Spire? Sacrifice? What? Didn't I say something along the lines that somebody got sacrificed and is remaining at the Crimson Spire, and that's the artificial light we're seeing? No, wait, no. I don't think that's what I said. But something along those lines. Chapter 282 is called Sacrifice. As Sunny walked in circle, drawing near the center of the mosaic, he saw the depiction of various deeds of the Starlight Legion had achieved. The warrior led by the 7 heroes were truly a fearsome force, forged and tempered by the relentless malice of their dark world and the unsatiable will of their leader. They drowned the Forgotten Shore in the blood of the cursed creature. Even though many of them had turned into monsters themselves, especially those who had allowed themselves to a falter in their conviction, the rest continued unbroken. Sunny couldn't tell how powerful exactly the members of the Legion were, but from some clues of their battles, he guessed that they were at approximately the same level as the Awakened of his own world, at least at the beginning. With time, however, it seemed as though the warriors of the Cursed Land had grown much stronger. If most of the creatures they were fighting were of the corrupted rank, then that would put the Legion far above the humans back in the real world. Oh, even stronger. Sunny wasn't sure if the 7 heroes and their soldiers were carriers of the Nightmare spell, though, and if the same hierarchy of power could be applied to them. Eventually, the surviving humans migrated to the shore of the colossal impact crater and built an impregnable wall around the new city. The endeavor alone was so arduous and ambitious that he couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. Sunny slowed his steps on the image in front of him. The construction of the Crimson Spire. No, it wasn't a crimson yet back then. He began. The Cycloplane Tower was built vast of the city, reaching high into the sky like an axis of the world. Like a star world that was designed to allow humans to touch the heavens. This was what he was truly interested in. Sunny wanted to know what happened to the Spire, how the artificial sun was created, and how the darkness that consumed this land was turned into a transient black sea. When he saw the next made him falter and close his eyes with an expression of a deep, exhausted resentment. In the second to last image, the 7 heroes were depicted standing apart in the 7 spots of the Forgotten Shore. In front of each of them, a crowd of thousands of people kneeled waiting. Among those people were the warriors of the Legion and the civilians from the city. Men and women, old and young. Each of the heroes held a weapon in their hands. Of course, this is what happened. What else would it be? A feeling of dark, bitter disappointment grasped his heart, and this is what's going to happen again. Sunny didn't even know why he felt this way. It was not like he knew anything about the 7 heroes, really, but at some point, maybe because he needed to believe that there was a tiny glimmer of light in the vast and endless night, he had begun thinking of them as a symbol of the best humanity could be. What a foolish thought. He, of all people, should have known better. Curse you all. In the last image, one that took the center of the mosaic, 7 tall hills made of dead bodies surrounded the spire. Tens of thousands of people had been slaughtered, their blood flowing like rivers towards the dark tower. On top of each hill stood one of the valiant heroes, their hands stained red to the shoulder. At the last sacrifice, the slaughterers turned their weapons on themselves, thrusting them into their hearts. What? The 7 heroes. As the last sacrifice, the slaughterers turned their weapons on themselves, thrusting them into their hearts. And somehow out there, he knew a tiny black seed floating in a pool of blood. Sunny grimaced in disgust. This was your dream. This is how you decided to bring back the light, you sick wretches. As the rivers of blood flowed to the spire, 7 streams of glowing crimson light moved above them. This is so fucking gnarly, dude. As the rivers of blood flowed to the spire, 7 streams of glowing crimson light moved above them and entered it from the 7 directions. These streams represented the soul essence of numerous humans who had been sacrificed to create... What the f*** did I tell you guys? To create the artificial sun, but theirs wasn't the most terrible fate. In the center of the spire, a lone human figure was drawn, convulsing in harrowing agony as a raging storm of the soul energy entered her body. The conflux of all the power of the sacrificial vessel meant that to be its conduit, the anchor of the sun. What the fuck did I tell you guys? I called it. The anchor of the sun. And I remember what I said. She's still there. I said she's still alive in some way, shape, or form. Sunny recognized that figure too. To him, the feature of her face was painfully familiar. It was the same face as the other nameless. It's the fucking Stone Saint. It was the same face as that of the nameless goddess whose statue stood in the ruined cathedral. The crimson light entered her body and shot from her screaming mouth and screamed upwards of pure and white. It rose to the height of the spire where a new sun was being born. Frightened by its light, the darkness retreated underground where it was locked behind 7 seals that were left behind by the heroes as their last deed. The rest was easy to deduce. After the heroes perished to create the artificial sun, everything was fine for a while, but then maybe a few decades or even hundreds of years, the light of the sun began to dim. So the people of the Dark City had to make a new sacrifice. Perhaps the second time, only 7 people had been killed to renew their power of the spire. But then it happened again. At that time, 7 was not enough, so they sacrificed 14. And then when it happened again, the sacrifice oh, that makes sense. Remember how Nephis, it doesn't make sense why there are so few people. Like there should be a lot, like there should be thousands of people here, right? If they've been around for so long. That's why they keep sacrificing people. They sacrificed a few dozen, and eventually hundreds of people were being slaughtered every year to keep the sun burning because of the simple fact that the 7 heroes and their people, all of them had terribly mighty souls. But their descendants who didn't have to grow up in utter darkness and fight terrible monsters who lived through the day did not. At some point in the vicious cycle, the vessel that had been imprisoned in the spire and served as the anchor of the bloodthirsty sun was corrupted. Whatever kind of consciousness it had left had been completely shattered. The nameless goddess of the Dark City became the crimson terror of the forgotten shore. All that pain, all that rage, all that blood exploded from the spire and infected the very land itself. That is insane, dude. What the fuck? Releasing the darkness that had been imprisoned underground for hundreds of years. That was what Cassie had seen in the vision. The darkness and the fury of the newborn terror fell on the humans of the Dark City like a tide and wiped them all out, erasing even the memory of them from the face of the world. That was how the Forgotten Shore was born. What in the actual fuck? What? Final... There's more? There's more? Hold up. Let me... There's more. There's another puzzle. Final piece of the puzzle. So let me get this straight. The seven founders, right? They got together. They fucking sacrificed a shit ton of people, including themselves, after the shit they did, the treacherous deeds they did. They'd use the unknown goddess as like the vessel, right? All the blood from the thousands of corpses were like absorbed into like this beautiful crimson glowing light. All of this shit, so wow, it's kind of like Final Fantasy 14 with the Crystal Tower, how the Crystal Tower kind of like absorbed all of that. Okay, well, hold up, I won't get into spoilers for people that are playing FF14. Cool, this is cool. So the Crimson Spire absorbs all of that. The artificial sun, this kind of reminds me of Artificial Death from LOTM, Lord of the Mysteries. It absorbs all of it. The unknown goddess is there radiating, right, for a few decades, maybe hundreds of years. And then she starts dimming. So they realize they need 7 new people to be sacrificed. But then they realize the following year that isn't enough. Because like now, because they're safe in the Dark City, they don't have to be out there fighting, leveling up, gaining knowledge, gaining power, strength, right? So that's why like their aura or like their essence isn't worth as much as it was in the beginning, and that's why you just need more and more and more and more and more. And eventually it got to the point where like it just fucking burst because they just kept dimming and dimming and dimming, and they couldn't supply enough sacrifices, so it dimmed, and that's how the Forgotten Shore was born. That's fucking insane. That is like, you know what that is? That is like some FromSoft, Elden Ring, Dark Souls, Demon Souls level of world building. Like I think that's pretty fucking rad. I think that's pretty fucking rad, man. That like that's some gnarly ass shit. I need to eat more salted crackers, and like we just gotta fucking keep reading, man. Man, I'm locked in. I'm in utter disbelief. This is some good shit, man. It's like, you know, that's how they get you, man. That's, you grow up knowing like, hey man, all it takes is a little bit, so you gotta stop before it's too late. I'm in too deep. Chapter 283, final piece of the puzzle. So this is how it was. Sunny stared at the last image of the mosaic, a dark and resentful expression frozen on his face. Depicted in the center of the mural. Oh, I got a burp, I'm so sorry. Depicted in the center of the mural, a sun fueled by the blood shown on the mountains formed by dead bodies. Tens of, oh, I thought it was just thousands. Tens of thousands of people had been slaughtered to create it. And thousands more must have been butchered later on to keep it burning in the indifferent sky. The first sacrifices died wittingly, lured into submission by their fanatical ruler. What about those who came after? Somehow Sunny doubted it. And for what? How did it all end? The several seals had been broken, the ancient civilization had been obliterated. But the sun created and nurtured by it was not destroyed, just corrupted. It still rose in the morning and fell beyond the horizon after the dusk. Oh my god, the unknown goddess is the final boss. We're fighting Gunlog. We're gonna beat... Dude, I'm calling it. We're beating Gunlog by chapter 330. 325. And from between 330 to 325, we beat him. And 325 to 350, that's where we fight the unknown goddess. Like, once we get to the Crimson Spire, like, the portal is there, right? Or whatever. But, like, she's stopping us from escaping because she's been corrupted. That has to be it. Depicted in the center, I gotta be careful what I Google. No Googling, man. If you guys have any artwork, please send it my way. That on shit we've just read. Depicted in the center of the mural, a sun fueled by blood shown on the mountains, formed by dead bodies. We just fucking read this. Somehow Sunny doubted that, and for what? How did it all end? I just read this. But the sun created and nurtured by was not destroyed, just corrupted. I just read this. As long as the vessel, the terror of the Crimson Spire, existed at the center of the labyrinth, it would continue to shine in the cold gray skies. And as long as it did, the darkness that had escaped into the underground prison and turned into the cursed sea was going to continue coming and going, scared of its light. Great, the two deserve each other. He didn't know why the all-consuming darkness had become a literal sea of the impenetrably black water, but he had a guess or two. Either hundreds of years had spent locked away behind his shield had effects in that way, or the artificial sun had. The terror had been changed by the curse, so why couldn't the curse be changed by the terror in return? Why hasn't the sun extinguished, though? There was no one alive on the Forgotten Shore to make sacrifices to the spire anymore. But Sunny suspected that there was a reason for the crimson coral that seemed to grow either out or towards the bones. If he was right, the whole labyrinth was a giant maw with which the terror absorbed the soul essence of every creature that bled on the coral before it died. It was all part of its body. Sunny shivered at realizing that both the labyrinth and the dark sea were, in fact, colossal living creatures. They're just living entities. Sunny shivered at what the fuck? So it's like all the coral branching paths. That's a living thing. There was. Sunny shivered, realizing that both the labyrinth and the dark sea were in fact colossal living creatures. It was just that the scale of them were so boundless that they seemed like forces of nature. Compared to the eternal struggle of the two titanic beings, the struggle of a handful of tiny humans was nothing short of insignificant. Or was it? Suddenly he frowned. What the fuck is he realizing? What about Nephis and her plan? How did the shard memories come into all of this? At first, a dark thought entered his mind. He imagined that Changing Star was preparing a mass sacrifice of her own, a hecatomb to appease the Crimson Terror. The number of the sleepers being sent to the Garden Shore each year was too eerily similar to the number of sacrifices made to the Crimson Spire by the inhabitants of the Dark City to be a simple coincidence. But he quickly dismissed the thought. After all, the sacrifices were meant to renew the power of the Blood Sun, and that was not Nephis's goal. If anything, she meant to destroy it once and for all to gain entry to the gateway hidden in the spire. So what did it all mean? Sunny scrawled, remembering every piece of information about the 7 heroes and the 7 heroes, 7 shards. You bring them all together and you can take her out. Sunny scrawled, remembering every piece of information about the 7 heroes and the cursed land he knew, and most importantly, those that came directly from the spell. After all, he muttered, time has erased their names and their faces, but the memory of their defiant oath still remains. This was the second part of the description that the spell had given the Starlight Legion armor. His eyes widened. All this time he thought that the sentence simply meant that the legacy of the 7 heroes lived on even after their deaths. But now he suddenly realized that the truth might have been far more straightforward. I'm sorry, I'm not catching it. What is it? Do we need the shards to unlock the gateway? 7 shards, 7 keys? 7 locks, 7 keys? The key to understanding the secret of the shard memories was right in front of him this whole time. In fact, it came from the first memory he had ever gotten on the Forgotten Shore, the Azure Blade. On this Forgotten Shore, only Steel remembers. He whispered, a sudden understanding dawning on him like a revelation. The memory of Defiant Oath remained and only Steel remembered. Sunny rubbed his eyes. I am such a fool. I don't get it. I'm still a fool. The memory of Defiant Oath remained and only Steel remembered. Sunny, like, as in you must physically write it down. And only Steel remembered. Sunny frowned, rubbing his face. I am such a fool. Everything he needed to learn the truth that had been at his disposal from the very start of it all. The heroes were all gone. Oh, is it on the shards? Like, when you summon the shards, you can, like, read something on the, like, physically, right? Because only Steel remembers. It was not the memory of it that remained, but the memory. The shards were that memory. Of course, it all makes so much sense now. But then, what was their purpose, and why was Nephis so motivated to find each one? That was easy to guess too. Cassie had basically told him all those months ago. In the end, I saw a colossal, terrifying Crimson Spire, and at its base, 7 severed heads were guarding the 7 locks. Oh, the 7 heads! Oh, the 7 heroes! And the 7 locks, is it like the pools of blood where it all, like, wait, no. The 7 heads were the 7 heroes, but they're guarding 7 locks? And then we need the 7 shards to unlock the 7 locks? In its fury, the terror of the Crimson Spire had beheaded the statues of its creatures. Oh! The heads of the statues! 7 severed heads were not like human bloody heads, 7 colossal heads. In its fury, the terror of the Crimson Spire had beheaded the statues of its creators and brought their heads as trophies to guard the entrance to its lair, where Cassie had seen them, as well as the 7 mysterious locks. What did a lock need? A key. All locks required a key to either open them or shut them closed. Sunny slowly exhaled. The 7 seals that kept all the consuming darkness locked underground came undone, but they weren't destroyed. If one had all the keys, it was still possible to seal the cursed sea once again. That was what the 7 heroes had left behind, and with the cursed darkness locked away, the spiral would lose its most deadly line of defense. Finally, everything became clear. Sunny remained motionless for a long time, looking at the bloody images beneath his feet. After a while, he sighed and turned away. There was a bit of taste in his mouth. Sick, I am sick of this place, so sick of all of this. Cassie's vision showed her fire and rivers of blood. Good. It could all burn to the ground. He didn't care anymore. Oh, man. Oh, this is getting good. Oh, man. This is good. So, only Steel remembers, man. This is some good shit. It's some good-ass world building, man. Chapter 285 is called Nothing Serious. In the cold light of dawn, Sunny approached the spot where the other members of the cohort and he agreed to meet. The Shadow had already located their camp in the ruin of an ancient building and was currently watching them, hiding in the darkness. The 5 youths were busy preparing for the last stretch of the way to the Bright Castle. They were calm and collected, not at all like the people who were about to face the horrifying wrath of the Bright Lord. What kind of horror had they not faced already? Climbing over the rubble, Sunny let Nephis and the rest know of his approach, and he jumped down. Landing just a few meters away from the group, he straightened his back and gave them an indefinite look. Hey. They greeted him in a reserved manner. A palpable tension permeated in the air, making everyone reluctant to speak too much. Only Effie was seemingly unaffected by his dark mood. Leaning on the stone wall, the huntress was enthusiastically gawning on a juicy bone. Her white teeth was effortlessly crushing into the tiny pieces, which was then chewed and swallowed along with the marrow. Noticing Sunny, he smiled. Hey, doofus. He gave her a nod and walked to turn away, and then noticed a slight frown that appeared on Effie's face. Looking at him with a bit of uncertainty, she asked, you are right. Sunny was silent for a few moments, then smiled. Finally, he said in an even tone, I am perfect. Leaving the doubtful hunters behind, he walked past Castor and approached Nephis. The changing star was standing with her back to the ground, looking at the silhouette of the bright castle that loomed in the distance. Hearing his steps, she turned around. The gentle light of dawn reflected in her eyes. I realized my internet has not disconnected, so we might be good. Leaving the doubtful hunters behind, he walked past Castor and approached Nephis. The changing star was standing with her back to the ground, looking at the silhouette of the bright castle that loomed in the distance. Hearing his steps, she turned around. The gentle light of dawn reflected in her eyes, making them appear to shine. You've made it, Sunny. I am glad. He shrugged. Why didn't you expect me to show? Why? You didn't expect me to show up? She was silent for a while and then looked away. A lock of silver hair fell on her eyes. Nephis tucked it behind her ear and sighed. Could I not? It's not like I know the future. I mean, fuck, dude. She's lying out of her ass. She knows exactly what's going to happen. A lot of people are going to die. After that, she smiled, amusing. In the 11th month they had spent on the Forgotten Shore, this was the only second time Sunny heard Changing Star tell a joke. And the first time it was... the first time it was actually funny. If a little macabre, but what was the harm in indulging in a bit of dark humor at this point? Sunny did not smile. However, glancing in the direction of the bright castle, he asked, so what's the plan? Nephis shrugged. This time there is no plan. We have confirmed that Gunlung is still pretending to be looking for Effie to bring her to justice for killing the missing guards. Once we enter the outer settlement, the members of the host will come for her. Then I will most likely be forced to challenge him. Well, see after that. Sunny looked at her with a dark expression, pretty much exactly what I expected. He didn't hesitate to ask, can you really break his armor? Even with the Dawn Shard, your sword is barely equal to the Ascended Memory, and that thing is a true transcendent echo. She lingered for a while before answering. When she finally voiced, her voice was calm and even. I don't have to break the armor, I just have to break the man. Sunny shook his head with a humorous smile. Good luck achieving one without the other. He paused for a moment and then said, without a hint of levity in his voice, anyway, you owe me a conversation. Changing Star glanced at him and then nodded. All right, but not here. With that, she gave the others a sign to wait and walked away. Sunny followed. We're about to hear some crazy shit. His shadow stayed, making sure that no one was going to try and eavesdrop on them. It was staring in the direction of Castor, following his every move with intense attention. As they walked, Sunny suddenly said, by the way, I have something to tell you too. Nephis glanced at him and slightly raised an eyebrow. Yes, what is it? Sunny was silent for a bit and then smiled. Oh, it's nothing serious. Do you remember a guy called Harper? I murdered Harper. She frowned and shook her head. Should I? Who is he? Sunny shrugged. His expression remained neutral. Just a guy I killed. He was one of Gunlock's spies. Nephis looked at him for a few moments, then asked with indifferent confusion, "What about him?" A slight shadow ran over Sunny's face. However, his smile remained exactly the same. "No, nothing. Just wondered if you knew him." When they walked far enough and were concealed with even the cohort by several tall walls, Changing Star stopped and turned to face him. Looking at Sunny, she said, "It is a good thing we can speak privately. Actually, I wanted to ask you a favor." He blinked. "Well, that is unexpected. What is it?" She hesitated for a moment. I'm scared to read this, man. What is she going to ask? She hesitated for a few moments. "After my fight with Gulling is over, when I win, I might not be in the best of shape. Even if I am, there will be a flood of soul essence pouring into my body. It will incapacitate me for a bit. Please protect me." The changes that happened to my body after a small portion of soul essence was consumed were subtle, but in large quantities, it could be disoriented, sometimes even deliberating me for a short while. Sometimes experiencing these changes and getting used to them took a little time. Sunny tilted his head. A flood of essence. What does it matter if her core is either full to the, or at least at the brim, almost saturated? He frowned, trying to guess what he wanted for him. "So what do you need me to do?" "Keep Horus busy while you recover." She shook her head, then looked away. A light sigh escaped from Changing Star's lips. "No, I want you to make sure that Castor is nowhere." Why? "No, I want you to make sure that Castor is nowhere near me when that happens." Here it was. The truth was about to. What the fuck is gonna happen? Is he trying to kill her? And he's just waiting for the right opportunity, like when her guard is down? Have I been fucking right this whole time? Is Castor a scummy swine waiting to slit her? And we must protect her? Like, what is going on? "No, I want you to make sure that Castor is nowhere near me when that happens." Here it was. The truth was about to come to truth. Or is he just a really nice guy and he's gonna be like a really good, lovable character? I'm sorry if I offended anybody. Or is he gonna be like a really good, lovable character and we just don't know it yet? And we don't want him to be affected because maybe he has an ability that lets him absorb shit in huge quantities and that might kill him too? Sunny stared at Nephis, his expression cold and dark. After a few moments of the tense silence, he asked, "Why? What's the deal with you and Castor?" She looked at him. Is she also gonna say nothing serious? She looked at him, her striking gray eyes calm and deep. Then she said, "It's very clear, really. Castor has been..." No fucking way. I fucking told you. Stupid swine piece of shit. There was always something so sus about this fucking character. Oh my goodness. Castor is sent to kill Nephis. No way. Dude, they told us from the beginning in the Academy arc. You never know who to trust. Out there, bro, it's like fucking outlaw, bro. It's like gunslingers and outlaws. Like, you never know who has your back. You never know who's going to try and kill you and get away with it. It's very simple, really. Castor has been sent here to kill me. But, dude, he is such a strong, quote-unquote, ally that we need him right now. And Castor can't kill Nephis by himself in broad daylight with fucking like 5-6 other companions. He has to do it when their guard is down, everybody's weak, or maybe it's just him and her and she's weak, and that's the one chance he'd do it. Wow. Sunny versus Castor? Bro, let's fucking go. Let's fucking go, man. What is the kill order? What is the kill order? I hope Castor, top of the list. Once we kill Gunlock and he's weak, we just take him out, bro. Fucking in the dirt. Unless I'm gonna walk it back. I'm getting a little vocal. Unless we beat Castor and Sunny's like, "If you ever do that again, I will murder you." And then he becomes an ally, not because he wants to, but because he's scared. And eventually he gets a redemption arc. Or we kill him. I'm down either way. Whichever one. I'm down for both options. I'm down for option A, B, or maybe even a plan C. Sunny remained silent for a few moments. Finally, it became clear that Nephis wasn't going to continue. Feeling a slight sense of exasperation, he asked, "Why would Caster want to kill you?" Despite the comic appearance that was a tempest raging in his mind, the revelation of Caster's true intention had shaken Sunny. Yes, he disliked the Proud legacy, and yes, their dynamic with changing Star had always been a bit strange, but he never expected to hear something like this. In his mind, Caster was more of an opportunist with distasteful ambitions, most likely having to do with the purity of his clan's bloodline than a cold-blooded killer. In what world did him wishing to kill Nephis made any sense? He was her number one fan. He was her number one fan. The only logical explanation Sunny could find was that the Proud Scion had been secretly working for Gunling all along. But then that theory also didn't hold when subjugated to a cold inspection. The Bright Lord was determined to kill Changing Star with his own two hands and in front of hundreds of people. What would he need Caster for? Nephis lingered for a bit and then shrugged. People have been trying to kill me for a long time, for as long as I can remember. Have you forgotten? Sunny slowly shook his head. No, I did not. But what does that have to do with Caster? She smiled. They were not going to stop just because I came of age, surviving my first nightmare and sent into the dream realm. If anything, that would have been the perfect opportunity to finally make me disappear forever. Sleepers enter this cursed world alone, away from the protections of society and whatever allies they might have in the real world. Do you see? He gave her a nod, his expression growing dark. I've been recording 131. Yeah, I'm recording. Her expression Wait, no. I'm scared. I don't know if I read this or not. Oh, and I can't go back because we're not live. I'm sorry. I'm going to reread this chapter just to be safe. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry if I even was recording it. I have such a bad short-term memory. My phone was ringing and I looked at it. And I think I hit pause or not, and I don't remember. So I'm going to just read it, just to be safe. It's only 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Maybe I was just giving my thoughts for 2 minutes, and then I just forgot to hit play. Chapter 285 is called Kill Order. Sunny remained silent for a few moments. Finally, it became clear that Nephis wasn't going to continue. Feeling a slight sense of exasperation, he asked, "Why would Caster want to kill you?" Despite the calm appearance, there was a tempest raging in his mind. The revelation of the Caster's true intention had shaken Sunny, yet he disliked the Proud legacy, and yes, their dynamic with Changing Star had always been a bit strange. But he never expected to hear something like this. In his mind, Caster was more of an opportunist with distasteful ambitions, most likely having to do with the purity of his clan's bloodline than a cold-blooded killer. In what world did him wishing to kill Nephis made any sense? He was her number one fan. The only logical explanation Sunny could find was that the Proud Scion had been secretly working for Gunling all along. Wasn't he at the castle for a while? But then the theory also didn't hold when subjugated to a close inspection. Subjected to a cold inspection, the Bright Lord was determined to kill Changing Star with his own two hands and in front of hundreds of people. Why would he need Caster for? Nephis lingered for a bit, then shrugged. People have been trying to kill me for as long as I remember. Have you forgotten? Sunny slowly shook his head. No, I did not. But what does that have to do with Caster? She smiled. They were not going to stop me just because I came of age, survived my first nightmare, and was sent into the dream realm. If anything, that would have been the perfect opportunity to finally make me disappear forever. Sleepers entered this cursed world alone, away from the protection of society. Ellie's barking. Uh-oh. She's like, it's time to eat. It's time for go for a walk. All right. This is going to be our last chapter. I'm sorry. And whatever allies they might have in the real world. Do you see? He gave her a nod, his expression growing dark. Indeed, no one was as vulnerable as young sleepers entered the dream realm for the first time. Nephis sat and looked away. In any case, when I enrolled into the academy, I knew that someone among our classmates had to have received orders to make sure that I never returned to the dream realm. I just didn't know who it was. Suddenly, she glanced at him. The corner of her lips curled upwards. Actually, for a long time, I thought that it was you. She fucking thought it was Sunny? Is that why she was always so, like, curious about him? Like, no, you're such a good liar. Oh, man. Actually, for a long time, I thought that it was you. Sunny blinked and stared at her in disbelief. What, me? Are you... Actually, never mind. What exactly about me made you think that I'm an agent of some secret legacy cabal? Do I look like a legacy to you? Nephis calmly looked him in the eyes. Honestly, not any legacy that I know, but there were too many things about you that didn't make sense. He frowned. Do tell. She slowly raised her hand, then began counting on her fingers. Let's see. You claim to be an orphan from the outskirts, but somehow managed to survive both the first nightmare and the arrival on the Forgotten Shore. You didn't consume any soul shards, but kept growing more powerful. You said that you had never held a sword in your hand, but absorbed my lessons with astonishing speed. And finally, every other word you said was a lie, especially when it came to your origins, your past, your strength, and your aspects. You're fucking right. Everything about him is an enigma. I ran out of fingers. That's 10. Running out of fingers on one. I ran out of fingers on 2 hands. Running out of fingers on 1 hand, she made a fist and pointed to it. Need I continue? Sunny cleared his throat. No, well, when you put it like that, she smiled and shook her head, then lowered it. But after some time, I realized that my suspicions about you were wrong. If you were really tasked with killing me, you could have just left me on the ashen barrel back then. I was as good as dead, but you didn't. In fact, you risked a lot to take both Cassie and me with you. The smile slowly disappeared from her face, so when we reached Bright Castle and Castor immediately appeared, insinuating his way into my inner circle, I knew pretty much instantly that it was him. Sunny frowned. Aren't you getting ahead of yourself? No, that's pretty obvious. Aren't you getting ahead of yourself? Don't get me wrong. I'm the last person in this world who would want to defend the pumptuous bastard, but there were hundreds of sleepers in our crop, and out of those, only 7 were sent to the Forgotten Shore. And only 4 lived long enough to see the castle. What are the chances that the person with orders to make you vanish was among them? Isn't that a bit of coincidence? Changing Star slowly shook her head. Who said it was a coincidence? People often tend to forget that the spell has a mind of its own. It sees and hears all, and it really loves to play with fate. So the spell, like, knowingly sent Castor near her? If there was someone among those hundreds of people tasked with killing me, the chances of me having a fateful encounter with them in the dream realm would all be guaranteed. That is how the spell always does things. Sunny had to agree. The spell indeed loved to play with fate. His whole damn life was proof of that. Meanwhile, Nephis continued. Of course, despite my suspicions, I wasn't sure at first, but the more I observed Castor, the more convinced I became that I was right. Yeah, he's been pretty sus. I fucking told you guys, day one. This guy is fucking sus. Wow, isn't this poetic? Since like chapter 20, chapter 30. And like the Academy arc, they had a sparse, and Castor won, right? But like Nephis she was just using like her human strength. Wow, and that probably boosted Castor's ego. Is like, I can beat her, but I just have to wait. Wow, that's poetic as fuck. That's pretty crazy. Almost 300 chapters later, look at that. That's a pretty crazy setup. Of course, despite my suspicions, I wasn't sure at first, but the more I observed Castor, the more convinced I became that I was right. He did everything in his power to get close to me, and then he tried his hardest to subtly isolate me from everyone I could have trusted. He spent his time... no wonder he put her against Sunny. That makes sense. No wonder Sunny blames Castor. He did everything in his power to get close to me, and then he tried his hardest to subtly isolate me from everyone I could have trusted. He spent his time studying my every move while keeping his secrets close to his chest. It's him. I've been sure of it for a long time. Sunny tilted his head, trying to digest his new information. After all, he asked, if Castor wants to kill you, why hasn't he made a move to kill you yet? She lingered for a bit, then smiled slightly, because among all the humans of Forgotten Shore, he knows that what scions of the Immortal Flame Clan are capable of best. Isn't it ironic? He respects my ability too much to be careless, maybe even fears it. And he can allow himself to fail. His honor wouldn't allow it, so Castor won't attack until he is absolutely sure that I won't be able to resist. No wonder, bro. It was so weird when they were fighting on top of the fucking walking colossus statue, man. They were sparsing, right? And both of them were locked in, even though it was a sparse. Wow. He'll make his move when I have no chance to escape. Sunny scratched the back of his head. Let me rephrase that. If Castor wants to kill you, why is he still alive? Why didn't you kill him already? He was sure that if Nephis wanted to, the Proud Legacy would have been dead a long time ago. Changing Star hesitated and then said in an even tone, because I need him for what is to come. It doesn't matter that he intends to betray me. Traitor or not, he is of use. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? Wow. Wow. I have the biggest, stupidest smile on my face right now, dude. Like, I'm updating my timestamps, and I'm like this, and my cheeks are starting to hurt from smiling. That is so insanely cool, dude. What a fucking cool ass revelation. I am baffled. I'm baffled. I'm baffled at how good this fight is. Oh my god, I realize one song I haven't heard from Griffith Tyler is Star of Change. I assume we're referencing Changing Star, right? Because I can see her on the cover. So I think when she has her crazy fight, her crazy moment, or like some shit like that, I'm gonna hear that song. I want to react to it like as we're watching it. But man, what a good stream. What a good react. What a good read through. This was our longest one yet. Oh man, that was good. And I don't get it. I'm in utter disbelief. I am so excited to finish this arc, man. I'll be honest. I need to head out. It's time for me to have some lunch. I'm gonna go eat. I'm gonna take my dog on a walk. We're gonna spend some time together. I'm gonna spend time with Mrs. And I really want to read like 15 chapters right now, man. It is insanely good. I just want to come back and read more. So I do apologize that the videos are going to be spaced out. So I don't know if after this video, I'm just going to read like 30 minutes of Reverend Insanity and then release that. No, I can't do that to you guys. I know, no. I don't, hold up. Okay. Am I capable of doing that to you guys? Am I capable of making you guys wait another day while I upload a Reverend Insanity video to make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, and support that video? No. That sounds so weird saying it like that. I'll shut the fuck up. Dude, I am so pumped to see the moment where Caster thinks he has the kill, right? And then fucking Sunny's gonna fucking come out wearing the Weaver's mask, deflects him, and he's like, "Who are you?" And then Sunny is gonna be silent protagonist. One of my biggest tropes, my favorite trope. I love it. The silent protagonist, the lone hero. He's gonna come protect her. Neff is gonna look at him like, "Sugoi desune subarashi, who just saved my life?" And then Sunny, silent protag. He's not gonna say a thing, right? They can only speculate that it's him, but they won't know. I am gushing. I am waiting for that moment. That being said, all you beautiful, loving people, I'm gonna let you go. If you like what you see and you want to see more, especially if you want to see more within 24 hours, that is not a threat. That's just for hype, you know. Make sure that is not a threat. I promise. I'm just trying to hype you up. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share the video, show it to your loved ones. Or even if they're not your loved ones, take their phone, make them subscribe to the channel, you know, make it a little bit fun, make it a little bit exciting, make these new subscribers. Who the fuck is this dude reading Shadow Slave? And I will see you guys all very, very soon. Peace. Have a beautiful, amazing day. Later, guys. Wait, no. I did want to tell you guys, full disclosure. I think when I started this arc, I already forgot it, which is good. That's how bad my memory is. I think I remember accidentally reading the Volume 2 title of this arc. Like, I know it's a Forgotten Shores arc, but I think I remember reading the title for Volume 2. Like, I know Volume 1 is Child of Shadows. Volume 2, I don't know what it is. I forgot to mention that when I talked about how I know, like, there's, like, an Antarctica setting or an Antarctica arc, and then there's, like, a Pyramid Desert setting or a Pyramid Desert setting arc or whatever. I think I remember reading the Volume 2 title. I'm gonna stop thinking about it so I don't remember it. The point is, I don't remember it. Later, guys. Peace. See you all soon.